everybody, this is Neil Ray here, and I want to point out on how to make a tarantula enclosure today. And for the U.S. Tarantula Group 1976, I want to say hi to everyone on here that's watching. If you're not a member of Facebook, please go and subscribe. There's a lot of really great people on there. But today, like I said, I'm going to show you how I make enclosures. We are going to rehouse my rose hair. Right now she's in a glass aquarium. I'm not too fond of it. The reason why I'm not too fond of it is glass during the winter, it gets a lot colder. So they're not really happy with glass. You can put a side mount heater, such as Zoom Ed Reptile Heat Pad. But like I said, I don't like glass. It's personally up to you if you want to use glass. But also the really big thing I don't like is this screen top. She actually crawled up here, got one of her legs stuck. It was a freak occurrence. But it doesn't happen that often, but it can happen. She's okay, but you know, I just want to move her to plastic. So you can see what we have now. There's her enclosure. She's kind of hiding in there, but we'll end up scooping her out. So, as I mentioned, we're going to move her to a plastic enclosure. This is what I have. You can buy these at Walmart for about $5, $6. They're not very expensive. They're 5 to 6 gallon. Sterlite, 24 quart. All you have to do is just drill some holes along the top here. You don't need very many, maybe 3 on one side and 4 or 5 on this side. I use about 2 rows. You want to have enough substrate in there to maintain the depth of it. You don't want it too shallow in case they fall, because falls of tarantulas is always a really bad thing. So you want to make sure you have enough substrate, and then the size of the holes that you're drilling in there, you don't want them too big, but you don't want them too small either. Depends on the species and how much humidity you're looking to keep. So like I said, just drill a few holes and put an ample amount of substrate. We're going to fill it up to right about here. That's what I like. And the substrate that I use, a lot of people use Eco Earth. I'm not really a big fan of Eco Earth. Again, that's completely up to you. I like using peat moss. And you can see right here what I have here. This is sphagnum peat moss. You can buy it at your greenhouse. You can get it at Lowe's, a hardware store. It's not very expensive. It's a lot cheaper than Eco Earth. It works a lot better, I think anyway. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to bake it. You don't have to bake it. And I'm sure it's an overkill, but I like baking on my substrate because if there's any chance of insect larvae, fungal spores, anything in there, it's going to kill it. So I just get a pie pan, and I put in just a fixed amount of peat moss, and I add a handful of vermiculite. You don't need very much, maybe about 6-7% vermiculite. Mix it all together and put it in the oven at 200 degrees for about 20 minutes. You can go in there and you kind of stir it around during the process. Just kind of mix it up, bake it, and then we'll put it in the enclosure. So we're going to get to that, but while that's going, I also had a really good friend of mine, Pablo, ask how to make an incubator. She just laid an egg sac, and we waited 30 days, pulled out the egg sac, got it in an incubator now, and that's kind of the reason why I was waiting to rehouse her. Make sure that she was all comfortable once we ended up pulling the egg sac. So here is my incubator. I want to show you what that's like. Again, I'm using Tupperware. All you have to do is get yourself a small Tupperware enclosure, drill really, really tiny holes in there. I drill quite a bit of little tiny holes. I say tiny. Some people don't even drill holes, but I like drilling really tiny holes. If they're too big, the spider may crawl up there and get out, and you don't want that. You don't want a bunch of loose baby spiders in your house. Makes the wife really unhappy. But drill some really tiny holes there for some ventilation and added humidity. Drill them on the side, just like what I'm going to do with this one. You'll see here in a little bit, but instead of going 2 rows, I just go 1 row. Now, the incubator itself, it's really simple design. A lot of people, they go all out and make an incubator, but all you really need is get yourself a little Tupperware container. It's really shallow. It's about maybe 3-4 inches in height. Take and put a little bit of water in there, maybe a couple inches of water. Take some cheesecloth, put it over around the side of it, and take a rubber band it on there. So that way it's not going anywhere, it's nice and secure. I like using about 3 or 4 rubber bands, just because once again I'm really particular. I want to make sure that, you know, one of these rubber bands don't fail and the cheesecloth falls into the water. So I double and triple reinforce it. So, and also the size of the enclosure that you want to put in here inside the bigger enclosure, you want to make sure it's not too big and you have a little bit of room around the sides, but it's not too crowded either. Because when I pulled the egg sac, I put all the babies on here and they crawled off, they went down here in the corner. You can really see them. They're barely moving. They're probably still another 3 weeks before I pull them out and then transfer each of them into individual vials and start feeding them fruit flies. But you can see the design's really simple. I mean, there's not a lot to it. Like I said, just a little small enclosure, put a little bit of water in there, put some cheesecloth around it, and this bottom is just paper towels. Just take some paper towels, fold them over, mist them really good, get them wet, put that down, and then you're good to go. Put the eggs, once you pull them, after 30 days, wait 30 days, so the eggs was leg stage, put them on here, and they'll crawl off. As they hatch, they'll crawl off, they'll be all over the place. So that's a real simple enclosure. If you have any questions, just message me, and I'll guide you through the process. So with that said, I'm going to go drill some holes in this, and then we'll put the peat moss in, and we'll add the substrate, and we'll see what it looks like here in a minute. But that's it for now.